What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. With Wrestlemania 33 just around the corner, people are getting ready for WWE's biggest show of the year. While Wrestlemania earned its name the showcase of the immortals and the grandest stage of them all, it still produced some crappy matches. Not every encounter in the squared circle has been a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat vs Randy Macho Man Savage or Shawn Michaels vs The Undertaker. So we've compiled a list of 20 of the worst WrestleMania matches in history. Number 1. Uncle Elmer vs Adrian Adonis at WrestleMania 2. Ray Charles sang America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 2, and even he could have seen this one was going to be a disaster. Anyone familiar with Uncle Elmer's work knows the big guy wrestled with the grace of a one-legged bear. The only reason he was in the WWF at the time was he looked like a character from the film Deliverance, but wasn't on any sex offender registry. Adrian Adonis had his work cut out for him, and the added weight he'd put on certainly didn't help. Number 2. Hulk Hogan vs Sergeant Slaughter at WrestleMania 7. This one deserves a mention not only for the WWF's tasteless exploitation of the first Gulf War in promoting this feud, but the match's sheer boredom. By 1991, both Sergeant Slaughter and the Hulkster were phoning in matches, and unfortunately in both of their cases, there were no phone booths to be found. Operation Desert Storm lasted 1 month, 1 week and 4 days, but that was a blink of the eye compared to this matchup. Number 3. A 6-man tag between Big Boss Man Virgil, Sergeant Slaughter and Jim Duggan versus the Nasty Boys, Repo Man and the Mountie at WrestleMania 8. This one blazed a trail for crappy matches thrown together to kill some time during a pay-per-view. The concept of Sergeant Slaughter, Virgil and Jim Duggan in one ring is enough to make any fan of in-ring ability nauseous, but the fact that it happened at WWE's premier event is even worse. Most fans who saw this would rather have a colonoscopy without anesthesia rather than watch this disaster. Number 4. The Undertaker vs Giant Gonzales at WrestleMania 9. Professional wrestling is about more than just technical ability in the ring. Wrestlers with the right look and charisma can make up for shortcomings in the ring, as legends such as Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior proved throughout their careers. In the case of Giant Gonzales, you had a wrestler who was legitimately 7 feet 7 inches tall. The problem was his wrestling skills were so limited that he made the great Khali look like Daniel Bryan, and he had the charisma of a turnip. Throw in a ridiculous outfit that made him look like a Sasquatch making an adult film, and he had all the makings of a disaster. To no one's surprise, the match stunk more than Jeffrey Dahmer's crawl space and featured a bizarre disqualification win by The Undertaker after Giant Gonzales used chloroform in an attempt to subdue him. Not surprisingly, the match had the same disorienting effect on the audience. Number 5. Men on a Mission vs the Quebecers at WrestleMania 10. Rapping wrestlers Men on a Mission were so bad that Dirt Sheet writer Dave Meltzer's head exploded when he saw them wrestle, leading many to believe the current Meltzer is actually an imposter. Whether or not that's true, we know Men on a Mission managed to win the WWF Tag Team Championship, a sign of how bad the WWF's tag team ranks were at the time. WrestleMania 10 was one of WWF's best pay-per-views ever in terms of match quality, with matches like HBK and Razor Ramon's ladder match and Bret Hart vs Owen Hart setting a new standard of excellence. Regrettably, the Men on a Mission match ruined everything. It was like drinking rancid Yoo-hoo after a filet mignon dinner. Number 6. Lawrence Taylor vs Bam Bam Bigelow at WrestleMania 11. Some fans claim WrestleMania 11 is the worst WrestleMania of all time. What do we think? Well, find out soon. And if the main event is any indicator, they may be right. Fans are sharply divided on the main event match between wrestler Bam Bam Bigelow and football player Lawrence Taylor. Some think it was downright embarrassing for Bigelow to job to Taylor, while others think it was a good way for the WWF to get publicity at a low point in the company's history. Whatever your thoughts, it's hard to justify this match as the main event when Shawn Michaels challenging Diesel for the WWF Championship took place right before. Number 7. Butterbean vs Bart Gunn at WrestleMania 15. Anyone who thinks the Attitude Era gets a pass must have forgotten about this one. The WWF's Brawl for All tournament proved disastrous, pitting WWF superstars against each other in real fights. Unfortunately, someone forgot that work fights are dangerous enough, let alone ones where wrestlers are throwing down for real. The tournament saw several superstars sidelined and an unlikely winner in Bart Gunn. The WWF pushed its luck to the brink when it threw Bart into the ring with pro boxer Butterbean. Butterbean clobbered Bart Gunn in just over 30 seconds, knocking him the F out. The WWF promptly knocked Gunn out of the company, reportedly because they were so embarrassed by his loss. Number 8. Goldberg vs Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 20. The only thing remarkable about this match is that in hindsight, it will probably end up lasting longer than all of Goldberg and Brock Lesnar's other matches combined. This match saw two superstars who were on their way out of the WWE, and everyone knew it. The fans booed both wrestlers out of the building, yet in hindsight, this is the closest anyone will ever get to seeing anything resembling a wrestling match between these two overpaid, overrated performers. Number 9. Akebono vs Big Show in a sumo match at WrestleMania 21. If it's a speciality match against a sports star, you can bet that the Big Show will be continuing Tito Santana's WrestleMania legacy. As bad as it was seeing Tito doing the JOB every year at Mania, at least El Matador didn't wrestle in a giant diaper. This match was excruciating to watch, with both wrestlers stalling so much you wondered if Akebono wasn't Larry Sabisco in a fat suit. The only battle here was which wrestler had the biggest man boobs. Akebono easily dispatched Big Show, winning both the sumo match and the battle of the man boobs. Number 10. Tori Wilson vs Candice Michelle in a Playboy pillow fight at WrestleMania 22. The Divas era reflected a real low in women's wrestling, and this match epitomized how it featured two women who looked gorgeous but had the wrestling talent of giant Gonzales. Okay, that's not fair, they had all the talent of the great Khali. Number 11. The Boogeyman vs Booker T and Sharmell at WrestleMania 22. When your opponent's wife puts on a better match than you, it might be time to reconsider going back to work at the bait shop. Here the Boogeyman won the match with a falling choke bomb on Booker T, an appropriate name given the match bombed as well. Number 12. The Great Khali vs Cain at WrestleMania 23. While it would be unfair to call this match the 21st century of Uncle Elmer vs Adrian Adonis, it was still an awful spectacle to behold. The most exciting part of the match was the Big Red Machine's entrance, and everything went downhill from there. An animatronic bear at Chuck E. Cheese could have put in a better match than Khali did, and when the Punjabi Nightmare pinned Cain by stepping on his chest, you couldn't help but wonder if it was because he still hadn't learned a lateral press. Number 13. Michael Cole vs Jerry Lawler at WrestleMania 27. Wrestling legend and WWE Hall of Famer Jerry Lawler's lifetime goal of wrestling at WrestleMania was realized in 2011. Quite the achievement until you see who his opponent was. The man who made national news by pile-driving comedian Andy Kaufman was now wrestling someone who was best known for having his manhood taken by Heidenreich. Yet another example of how Vince McMahon loves to screw with his employees and the fans. Number 14. Kelly and Maria Menounos vs Beth Phoenix and Eve Torres at WrestleMania 28. If ever a match epitomized why Divas matches became universally known as bathroom break matches, this one is it. Here Kelly teamed up with celebrity Maria Menounos, who is much as a celebrity as Dr. Pepper is a medical doctor, to make sure fans had a chance to hit the bathroom or grab a quick snack before the awesome Undertaker vs Triple H Hell in a Cell match that followed. Number 15. The Miz vs John Cena at WrestleMania 27. It's always good to try and build new main event stars, but you can't make them second banana to a guest host. At WrestleMania 27, the WWE put WWE Champion The Miz in a main event against John Cena. However, the match was all about setting up The Rock vs John Cena for a once-in-a-lifetime match the next year, with The Rock attacking Cena, enabling Miz to retain his championship. Arguably the worst finish ever for a WrestleMania main event. Number 16. Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal at WrestleMania 25. If you want to give the Divas roster a WrestleMania paycheck without murdering your show, a 25 Diva Battle Royal for the title of Miss WrestleMania isn't a bad idea on paper, especially if you keep the match under 8 minutes. The problem here was that the WWE had Santino Marella's twin sister Santina win the match and the crown of Miss WrestleMania. People may fault the WWE for questionable angles in the past dealing with everything from racism to incest to necrophilia, but their transgender stance was remarkably progressive for the time. Number 17. The Gimmick Battle Royal at WrestleMania 17. You have to give the WWE credit for giving the fans a bit of nostalgia with this one, as 18 stars displayed some of the best and worst gimmicks from years gone by. Everyone from Hillbilly Jim to the Goon was there, with some wrestlers dating back to the rock and wrestling era of the mid-80s. This one could have just as well have been called the Ring Rust Royal. Fortunately, no superstars broke a hip during the making of this episode. Number 18. Mr. T vs Roddy Piper in a boxing match at WrestleMania 2. Boxing and wrestling have never been a good combination, as seen with the legendary snooze fest of Muhammad Ali vs Antonio Inoki, and here in 1986 when Roddy Piper laced up the gloves to box A-Team star Mr. T. Here T was supposed to be the babyface, but the crowd at the Nausea Coliseum shit on this match more than Randy Orton used to do in a Divas gym bag. By the end of the match, the heel Piper was being cheered, with fans hoping they'd never have to see Mr. T in the WWF ring again. Number 19, The Ultimate Warrior vs Hearst Helmsley at WrestleMania 12. 1996 was a bad year for Triple H, whether it was his dark match loss to Duke the Dumpster Droese at that year's Royal Rumble, or his 1 minute 39-second squash to the Ultimate Warrior. Things continued to go south as Helmsley found his career threatened by his participation in the infamous MSG curtain call in May. Despite all of these setbacks, Helmsley stayed the course, proving that it's always darkest before the dawn. That, however, didn't do anything for WWF fans who watched the Warrior stumble through this burial. Number 20, the ECW Originals vs the New Breed at WrestleMania 23. It's hard to believe what was worse, seeing the WWE revive ECW and stock it with stars such as the ECW Vampire and the Boogeyman, or the dance segment of Extreme Exposé. Paul Heyman would be spinning in his grave at this one, but only his former company was dead. Instead, Heyman undoubtedly joined other fans of original ECW in vomiting as they watched ECW veterans Rob Van Dam, Sabu, and the Sandman battle the so-called new breed of Elijah Burke, Marcus Corvan, Matt Striker, and Kevin Thorne. Well guys, that about wraps up this video here. I know I've missed out quite a few still, but I've only limited the list to 20, so any matches you were thinking of have probably made the top 50 list. So if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and if you didn't like it, leave a dislike. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.